Welcome to HSE Pulse, a one-stop solution for all HSE related topics. I am Srinath Ganesh, experienced HSE professional from experience in various industries such as construction and oil and gas industries. As part of NEBOSH GIC course series, we are currently seeing Unit GIC1, Management of Health and Safety, and Element 4, Health and Safety Monitoring and Measuring. Under Element 4, Health and Safety Monitoring and Measuring, there are 4 sub-elements available. This video is going to be purely about 4.1 investigating and reporting incidents. As we are going to cover the full NEBOSH course in the upcoming videos, kindly subscribe to HSE Pulse so that only further uploaded videos will come as a notification to your YouTube. Let's go into the video and discuss the topic in a detailed manner. Under element 4.1 investigating and reporting incidents, the following contents are going to be seen. Introduction to incident investigation, types of incident, basic investigation procedures, recording and reporting requirements, reporting of events to external agencies. Introduction to incident investigation. Why we need to investigate the incident once it is happened? To identify the immediate and root causes. Whenever any accident is happening, it might be due to immediate cause and root causes. Even a fall of a person on the floor, there might be some reasons. Okay, to identify what is the immediate reason and root causes, we are investigating the incident. To identify corrective actions for the incident happen and putting it into place and implementing it to prevent further recurrence of the incidents. To record the facts of the incident and for legal reasons. It is a legal requirement that any incidents or happen, it should be investigated as per the legal requirements. For claiming the whatever the cost incurred for the accident and losses incurred, so from the insurance providing companies, and for improving the staff morally. The accident has happened and if it is not investigated, then all the people who are working in the company will get demotivated. For improving the staff morally, it should be investigated. And to review the risk assessment and update whatever the risks not covered and update it. For taking the disciplinary actions and for data gathering purposes. So due to what causes it has happened, who is the person injured. So gathering all the data and maintaining it as a record. Types of incident. There are 4 types of incident. Accident, near miss, dangerous occurrence, work-related ill health. Accident. Any abnormal event or any unplanned or unwanted event which is causing injury to people and damage or loss to the property, it is called as accident. Near miss. Unwanted event which has the potential to cause injury to the people and damage or loss to the company, but luckily it has not occurred, but it has the potential to cause that. So that type of thing it is called as the near miss. For example, a suspended load is dropped from height where persons are below to that, but luckily no injury has happened, they have escaped. So it has the potential to cause very serious injury to the people, but luckily they have escaped. That type of thing it is called as near miss. Dangerous occurrence. It is a specified event that has to be reported to the relevant authority by statutory law. Failure of a crane while lifting. It is a dangerous occurrence. For example, I have given one like that. Many instances are there, like major abnormal event. Work-related ill health. Diseases or medical condition caused by a person's work. Suppose a person is doing the welding work daily in a continuous manner. Over a prolonged period, he will be affected to cancer. So due to this work, he is affected with cancer. That type of events is called as the work-related ill health. For example, I have given only one thing. Similarly, there are many instances. For example, painters who are daily exposed to paint fumes. In the long term, it will lead to lung cancer. So like that, many instances are there. Level of investigation. Like how much is the risk involved in the incident happen? According to the risk level, the investigation level should be decided. Minimal level, which involves immediate line manager or not excessive time or effort. Low level of investigation means which involves line manager, maybe with some person support, and more time and effort will be involved. The medium level of investigation, which involves middle manager with support and significant time and effort. High level of investigation, which involves senior management along with a team-based approach and significant time and effort. Basic investigation procedures, recording, reporting requirements. There are 4 steps totally involved in the investigating the accident. Step 1, gathering the information. Step 2, analyzing the gathered information. Step 3, identifying the risk control measures. Step 4, action plan and its implementation. Step 1, gathering the information. Once the accident has happened, first we need to secure the scene as soon as possible using barricades and warning tapes, etc. And collecting the eyewitness details who has seen the accident, collecting the factual information from the scene by means of photographs, sketches, measurements, videos, and important technical factors such as wind speed, temperatures, etc. Then physical evidences such as samples or the equipment that has failed. Sometimes injured person's wallet may be in the accident place, mobile phone may be in the accident place, etc. Then marking up existing site or location plans. Once the scene has been thoroughly examined, move on to the second source of information, which is witnesses. By having a discussion with the witnesses and interviewing them, we can able to collect the further sources of information. What are the various documents that need to be examined during an accident investigation? These include company policies, risk assessments, training records, safe system of work procedure documents, permit to work documents, maintenance records of the equipment which is involved in the accident, site plans, area layout plans, and emergency evacuation layout, previous accident reports, including reporting form and also detailed investigation report of the previous accidents. Then sickness and absence records. Step 2, analyzing the information. After the step 1, which is collecting the information, we need to analyze the gathered information to identify the immediate and root causes. Immediate causes are the causes that will immediately lead to the falling of person or accident. This will be the things that occurred at the time and place of the accident. Root causes. Root causes are the things that which is lying behind the immediate causes. Mostly, root causes will be the failures in the management system, which includes failure to adequately supervise the workers, failure to provide appropriate PPE by the company, failure to provide adequate training by the company, then lack of maintenance by the company, then inadequate checking or inspections by the company, then failure to carry out the proper risk assessments and for the activities which has led to the accident. For example, there is a oil leakage available on the floor surface. Person has walked above it and fell down due to slipping of the oil. Now in this case, what will be the immediate cause? There are 2 causes. One is due to unsafe act and another one is due to unsafe condition. Oil which is available on the floor is the unsafe condition. Person walked above the oil spillage, that is the unsafe act. So now we have identified the immediate causes. Now going behind this, we are going to identify the root causes. Why the oil spillage was there? It may be due to poor maintenance of the equipment, where it will get leaked. Now, why the person has walked above the oil spillage? It might be due to poor lighting which is available in the workplace. Due to that, he can't able to trace the presence of the oil leakage, oil spillage on the floor. So he walked. So in this root causes you can able to analyze, both will be due to management system failures. Step 3, identifying the suitable control measures. Control measures must be identified to remedy both the immediate and root causes. And root causes and underlying causes carry the same meaning, only it is also the another term for the root cause, which is underlying causes. Immediate causes are usually easy to identify. If there is a spill of oil on the floor, clean it up, and if the guard is missing from the machine, we can reattach it. But underlying causes are harder to determine because they reflect failure in the management system. However, it is essential that the correct control measures to remedy the failure of the management system are identified because this will help to prevent similar accidents occurring in the similar circumstances across the entire organization. For example, if a worker slips on some oil that has leaked out of a vehicle in the distribution depot, an employer may clean up the oil leaking out of the vehicle, which is the immediate cause, but fail to deal with the underlying cause or root cause, which might be lack of inspection and maintenance of the vehicle, etc. This could lead to more leaks, which in turn may lead to more pedestrian slips, and also it may lead to vehicle skidding. What are the important factors that we need to consider when identifying the control measures? If this action is taken, will it prevent the same accident from happening in exactly the same way at this location? This should be the one of the question. Second question is, if this action is taken, will it prevent other similar types of accident from happening in the similar locations in the future? If the answer to both the questions is no, then you need to identify the other control measures. Then after development of the other control measures, you need to again ask these questions, and until you get yes to both the questions, you need to apply it and identify the suitable control measures. Step 4. Planning the remedial actions. After the identification of the suitable control measures, it should be bring into the action plan. In the tabular column, you can able to see what is the action and what is the priority level, low or medium or high, and what is the time scale for the implementation and who is the responsible person. So allocating the responsibility for implementation of the action which is identified in this format, which is the action plan. Then in continuation of the step 4, incident investigation report also should be developed. In that report, the following content should be available. What is the date and time of the incident? What is the location of the incident? And who are the injured persons, including name, their designation, and their work experience and work history, etc. What are the details of the injury that has occurred to the person? The description of the activity being carried out at the time of the accident. And any other photographs or drawings used to convey information on the scene. And details of the witnesses and witness given statements. In what are the immediate and root causes of the incident? Then any assessment of any breaches of legislation and recommended corrective action with suggested cost, responsibilities and timescale. Estimation of the cost implications for the organization. So these are the 4 steps which is involved in the incident investigation. Next topic is reporting and recording. Reporting means any accident which has happened in the workplace, reporting it to the external parties such as legal authorities and also internally within the company. Communicating the information that accident has happened, that is called as reporting. Recording means the process of documenting the event, that is called as recording. Any abnormal event, it might be near miss or accident, it has to be reported and recorded. What are the barriers to reporting? Who can able to report? So worker who is nearby or worker who has affected can able to report it. Sometimes they will not report. So what are the barriers to reporting? That only we are going to see. It might be due to unclear organizational policy on reporting incidents and they may not be aware about the procedures. No reporting system in place and reporting culture in place. Overly complicated reporting procedures. And excessive paperwork in reporting takes too much time to report and belief in the workers that management does not take reports seriously. Existence of blame culture where a worker feels that they may be treated in a negative way for reporting any accident or near miss that they were associated with. Concern over the impact on the company or departmental safety statistics. Okay, if it is reported, then it will show in statistics as a negative way, that type of belief. Then reluctance to receive first aid treatment. Then finally, apathy, which is fear of reporting in the person. The internal accident record register, which is accident book or accident register they will be maintaining in the company. In that, what are the contents that need to be included? What is the name and address of the injured person? What is the location of the accident? What are the details of treatment that has been given to the injured worker? The details of any equipment or substance involved in the accident. The details of person completing the record. Date and time of the accident. Details of the injury which has occurred to the worker. Description of event causing injury. And eyewitness names and contact details and the signatures of the injured persons and also person who has filled the record. And in many companies, you might have seen that accidents are reported using any Word document, or there will be a platform available for reporting the incident, near misses and all. So hope you also might have exposed to it. Reporting of events to external agencies. External agencies are nothing but to statutory bodies, legal authorities. So that only they are meaning. Or the company may be having the professional accreditation with many of the institutions. Maybe that part is etc. Most countries have statutory law that requires certain types of event to be reported to relevant government and appointed agencies. All countries agree that fatal accidents must be reported. However, the level of detail of other types of events that need to be reported differs between the countries. So definitely fatal accidents need to be reported to the governmental authorities and the other associated parties with the company uh, who are external. But other related events, it differs between the various countries. Then typical reportable events are accidents that resulting in the major injury, such as amputation, such as loss of a hand through contact with machine parts, and dangerous occurrences. Example, the failure of an item or lifting equipment, such as the structural failure of a passenger lift during the usages. Then occupational diseases, such as a form of a cancer in the lungs. It might be due to inhalation of the asbestos for a prolonged time. Then lost time injuries, where workers are unable to perform their normal duties for a certain time period. Suppose if the person is affected and got fracture, the person is injured due to workplace accident and get fracture injury means he can't able to come to duty for a certain amount of time. So that how many days he can't able to come, that will be coming under the lost time injuries. So that's it about the video. I hope whatever the topics we have discussed in this video are clearer to you. Let's discuss many more topics in the upcoming videos. Thanks for watching.